My name is Natalie Brooks. I'm 29 years old. And up until one Sunday afternoon in September, I would have told you my life was steady. Not exciting in the Instagram-worthy sense, but stable, thought through, built with intention. I'm a software engineer at a mid-sized tech company. I make good money, comfortable money, but not the kind that erases consequences. I have student loans, a car payment, a savings account. I actually care about growing. I budget, I plan, I don't live recklessly. And I didn't date recklessly either. I'd been with Ethan Miller for 2 years. We didn't live together. That wasn't a problem. It was a choice. He had his place across town. I had mine. Independence mattered to both of us. Or at least I thought it did. Ethan was charming in a way that felt easy. Confident without being loud. The kind of guy who could make a casual joke sound like reassurance. He worked in real estate, did fine for himself, not wildly successful, but stable enough. We split things pretty evenly. Dinners, trips, tickets. Nothing ever felt transactional. Which is why the red flags didn't register as red at the time. About 3 months before everything fell apart, Ethan started talking about Vegas. It was a friend's trip. Long weekend. Pools, clubs, shows. The kind of trip people in their late 20s take to remind themselves they're still young. He showed me the hotel, the Cosmopolitan. Asked if it seemed expensive. It looks fine, I said. Have fun. The week before he left, we had dinner at an Italian place near his apartment. Tuesday night. Ordinary. He ordered wine. Talked about outfits. About which club his friends were insisting on. Then he said it. You know, if I run short on cash out there, I might need to borrow some money. Vegas gets expensive. I asked how much he was budgeting. Like 1,000, maybe 1,500. That should be plenty, I said, if you're smart about it. He smiled. Yeah, probably. Just in case, though. I didn't push. He'd borrowed small amounts before. Always paid me back. I assumed worst case was a Venmo request. I assumed wrong. He left Thursday morning, texted from the airport, sent photos from the plane. Thursday night, hotel room view of the Strip. Friday, pool selfie. Saturday, club lighting and noise. Normal. I was busy. Deadlines. Meal prepping on Sunday afternoon when my phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. Hey, babe. So I charged about $5,000 on your credit card during the trip. Don't worry. You earn enough. I'll explain when I get back. I read it 3 times. Stood there with a knife, halfway through cutting chicken, my brain refusing to process what my eyes were seeing. What? I typed. You don't have my credit card. I took a picture of it last month, he replied. When you were in the shower. I've been using the numbers. It's not a big deal. Something cold dropped into my stomach. This wasn't impulsive. This was planned. You stole my credit card information and spent $5,000 without asking me. Stole is a strong word, he said. We're together. What's yours is mine, right? Plus, I wanted to have a good time. He started listing things. Bottles, designer stuff, room upgrades. You would have wanted me to have fun. I stared at the screen. Then I typed one sentence. Hope you had a blast. And I opened my banking app. The moment my banking app loaded, I stopped breathing like a normal person. It's strange how your body reacts before your heart catches up. My thumb hovered over the credit card tab, and for half a second, I thought maybe it would be a misunderstanding. Maybe he'd exaggerated. Maybe it was some chaotic Vegas joke and he was testing my reaction like an idiot. Then the transaction list populated, and every hopeful excuse in my head died quietly. A string of charges started Friday morning, like a timeline of someone else's dopamine. $812.46. Gucci. Las Vegas, $1,237. XS, nightclub. Bottle service, $604.11. Spa treatment, Cosmopolitan, $458.90. Steakhouse dinner, $389.77. Sephora, $901.50. Bottle service, again. It kept going. Luxury, alcohol, impulse. A parade of because I can. Total, $5,000. I felt my hands shake so hard I had to put the phone down on the counter, like it had turned into something dangerous. And the worst part wasn't even the money. It was the casual entitlement in his text. Don't worry, you earn enough. As if my income was a permission slip. As if my hard work existed for him to spend like tips at a club. I picked the phone back up and started screenshotting everything. Charges, merchant names, dates, times. Not because I was already thinking case, but because a different part of my brain, a part that felt colder and older, was whispering, "This isn't a fight. This is evidence." I scrolled back to his messages. "I took a picture of it last month when you were in the shower. I screen recorded that too. The admission, the timeline, the lack of shame. Then I called the credit card company. My voice didn't even sound like me. 'Hi,' I said. 'I need to report fraudulent charges on my account.' The rep, calm, trained, almost soothing, asked me for confirmation details. 'Can you verify the last purchase you made?' 'Yes,' I answered automatically. 'Groceries, yesterday, in Portland.' 'And these disputed charges occurred in Las Vegas?' 'Yes.' 'Do you recognize the merchant names?' I stared at Gucci. 'No,' I said. 'I didn't make these purchases. Someone used my card information without my permission.' There was a pause, the sound of typing. 'Okay, I'm going to freeze the card immediately and begin a fraud investigation. You'll receive a replacement card within 5-7 business days. We'll also reverse any charges we determine were unauthorized.' My throat tightened. 'Thank you.' Then she asked, like she was required to, 'Do you have any idea who might have accessed your card information?' I swallowed hard. 'Yes,' I said, 'my boyfriend.' A different pause. 'Okay,' she said carefully. 'Do you have proof that he used your information without your consent?' 'Yes, I have text messages where he admits it.' 'Then you'll want to file a police report,' she said. 'We'll need a copy of it for the investigation file.' The words landed heavier than they should have. Police report. That was the moment it became real. Not just relationship drama, not a huge argument, not, "We'll talk when he gets back." This was theft. I ended the call and sat down on the floor of my kitchen, still holding my phone like it might explain how I'd ended up here. 2 years. 2 years of holidays, birthdays, late-night talks, tiny routines. And apparently, 2 years of him deciding I belonged to him. I drove to the police station on autopilot. I brought my phone, my screenshots, my statement app open like a witness. The officer who took me back was middle-aged, tired-looking, but attentive. He motioned for me to sit. "So," he said, clicking his pen, "tell me what happened." I explained it, slowly, clearly, like I was reading a report instead of talking about my life. He asked questions while I pulled up texts. "Just to confirm," he said, "he took your credit card information without permission and used it in Las Vegas?" "Yes." "And you have him admitting that in writing?" I turned my phone toward him. He read it, face blank, but his eyes sharpened. He nodded once. "That's credit card fraud," he said. "And given the amount, it's felony-level theft in this state." A buzzing started in my ears. "Felony. Ethan, felony." The officer continued, calm, procedural. "We'll open a case. We'll contact Las Vegas Metro because that's where the transactions occurred. They may try to make contact with him while he's still at the hotel." "When is he supposed to come back?" he asked. I checked my texts, like my brain needed something concrete. "Tonight, his flight lands at 9 p.m. "And where is he staying?" "The Cosmopolitan," I said. "As far as I know." He wrote it down, took Ethan's full name, phone number, and any identifying details I had. Then he had me sign a statement. My hand trembled so badly my signature looked like someone else's. When I walked out of the station, the air felt too sharp, too cold, like the world had shifted sideways without warning. I drove home, and my phone stayed eerily silent for about 2 hours. Then, around 6 p.m. Vegas time, a text came through. "Ethan, why isn't your card working? It declined when I tried to buy champagne for the flight." I stared at it. I didn't answer. A minute later, "Ethan. Natalie, hello?" Then, "Ethan, are you seriously ignoring me? This is childish." Childish. That word almost made me laugh, except nothing in me was capable of laughter anymore. I made myself dinner, barely tasted it, put on a show, didn't absorb a single word. My body was in my apartment, but my mind was somewhere over the Nevada desert, watching a version of Ethan I didn't recognize spend my money like it was air. At 8 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. Area code 702. My stomach flipped. I answered. "Hello?" A man's voice, professional, clipped. "Is this Natalie Brooks?" "Yes." "This is Detective Morrison with Las Vegas Metropolitan Police. We received a report from your local PD regarding credit card fraud." My throat went dry. "We made contact with Ethan Miller at the Cosmopolitan about 20 minutes ago. He's being detained for questioning right now." Detained. That word sounded like a door locking. I forced myself to speak. Is he under arrest?" "He's being detained," Morrison said. "That depends on how the interview goes and what the district attorney decides. But I can tell you he admitted to using your card when we made contact." A hot wave of nausea rolled through me. Admitted. Of course he did. He wasn't even smart enough to deny it. "We'll have our fraud division contact you tomorrow for follow-up," Morrison continued. "And you may be contacted by the DA's office." Okay, I whispered. Then quieter. Thank you. He hung up. I sat there with the phone pressed against my ear long after the line went dead. Part of me felt something like vindication. A larger part of me felt sick, because whether Ethan deserved it or not, I had just watched the man I loved get pulled into the machinery of the law. And there was no undo. The first message came at 9:30 p.m. Not from Ethan. From someone named Kayla, one of his friends. Kayla, what the hell did you do? Ethan's being arrested. He's crying. You're ruining his life. My phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. Then another. His sister. His cousin. Friends I'd met once at a barbecue. People I didn't even have saved. The same theme over and over. Drop it. Fix it. You're cruel. You have money. This isn't worth it. As if the theft was minor. As if my boundaries were optional. As if I was the one who crossed the line. I stared at the flood of messages until my eyes burned. Then I started blocking them, one by one, like closing doors in a hallway that had suddenly filled with strangers. And as I blocked each number, a quiet thought grew sharper. This wasn't just a Vegas trip. This was the first time Ethan did something like this and got caught. And that meant one terrifying thing. I had no idea who I'd really been dating. I slept maybe 2 hours that night. Not real sleep, just the kind where your body shuts down out of exhaustion, but your brain stays half awake, replaying moments you'd never questioned before. Ethan borrowing my phone once and turning it face down. Ethan joking, "You're so responsible, it's hot," whenever I talked about money. Ethan assuming I'd cover things without ever asking directly. By morning, my phone looked like a crime scene. 17 missed calls, 42 unread messages, voicemails stacked like emotional landmines. Most of them were variations of the same script. You're overreacting. He didn't mean it. You're destroying his future. At 9:58 a.m., my phone rang again. This time I answered because the number was saved. Emily, Ethan's older sister. "Natalie," she said immediately, voice sharp with panic. "You need to fix this, right now." "I can't," I said. "I didn't press charges. I filed a report. The police handled the rest." "That's semantics," she snapped. "You started it." "He stole my credit card information and spent over $5,000 without my permission. He thought you wouldn't mind." The words hit me like a slap. "He thought," I said slowly, "that I wouldn't mind being robbed?" "He thought you were a team," Emily shot back, "that you'd understand." "A team doesn't steal." There was a sharp inhale on the other end. "You know he's never been in trouble before," she said. "This could follow him forever. So could his decisions." "You're being petty," she said. "You have money. He doesn't." That was it. That sentence. That framing. As if my income canceled out my right to consent. As if fairness was determined by who earned more. "I'm not doing this," I said. "Please don't call me again." Then I hung up and blocked her. The guilt tried to rush in after, but I didn't let it settle. Around 10:15 a.m., Detective Morrison called again. "Quick update," he said. "Ethan Miller was formally arrested last night, charged with felony credit card fraud and theft. He posted bail this morning, $10,000 bond." My chest tightened. "Is he okay?" "He's back in your city," Morrison said. "Flight landed early this morning. He's due in court in Las Vegas in 3 weeks for arraignment." 3 weeks. The timeline made it real in a way nothing else had. "What happens now?" I asked. "He'll need a lawyer. The DA here takes tourist fraud seriously. It reflects poorly on the city. They'll likely pursue restitution at minimum." "Is there anything I need to do?" "For now, don't talk to him about the case. If he contacts you, document everything. If he tries to pressure or threaten you, call us." I promised I would. I went to work anyway. Sat at my desk. Stared at code I couldn't focus on. Around lunch, my phone rang again. "Ethan." I let it go to voicemail. Then again. Then again. 6 calls in a row. The voicemails came through one by one. The first was crying. "Natalie, please pick up. I'm so sorry. I made a huge mistake. I need you to call the police and tell them it was a misunderstanding, please." The second was anger, thinly disguised as disbelief. "You're really going to let me go to jail over money? After everything we've been through? This is insane." The third was bargaining. "I'll pay you back. Every cent. I'll set up a payment plan, I swear. Just please drop this." I saved all of them. Didn't respond. Tuesday came and went. My credit card company called to confirm the fraud investigation had been resolved in my favor. The charges would be reversed within 3 business days. My new card was already in the mail. Relief came in short, sharp bursts, quickly drowned by the emotional noise surrounding it. On Wednesday afternoon, I saw Ethan's car pull into my apartment complex. I knew it was his before he even knocked. The same gray sedan, same dent on the bumper from when he'd clipped a pole last winter. My stomach dropped. He knocked once, then again. I stayed still. I know you're in there, he called through the door. Your car's outside, please. His voice sounded hoarse, wrecked. I just want to talk. I leaned my forehead against the wall, heart pounding so loud it felt like he could hear it. I didn't think you'd do this, he said, softer now. I didn't think you'd go this far. There it was. I'm sorry. Not I betrayed you. Just disappointment that I hadn't stayed small, that I hadn't folded. He knocked again, slower, like he was counting seconds. 10 minutes passed. Then silence. I waited another 5 before checking the peephole. He was gone. That night I didn't cry. I felt hollow, like something had been surgically removed from my chest, and what remained was quiet, aching space. The next week was worse. Ethan's lawyer left a voicemail asking if I'd be open to discussing alternative resolutions. I didn't respond. Instead, I called Detective Morrison. You're not obligated to speak with his attorney, he said. If you do, remember, they work for him, not you. They'll likely try to get you to say you gave permission or that it was a misunderstanding. Don't sign anything without consulting the DA. That same afternoon, security called my desk at work. There's a woman in the lobby asking for you, the guard said carefully. She says she's Ethan's mother. My hands went cold. I'm not available, I said. Please ask her to leave. Apparently, she didn't go quietly. Later, HR called me in to explain there had been a disturbance. They were understanding, kind, even. But the embarrassment burned. Someone else's choices had followed me into my professional life, into the one space I'd built that was entirely mine. The messages kept coming, from new numbers, friends of friends, people I barely remembered meeting, all repeating the same narrative. He made a mistake. You're heartless. This didn't need to go this far. But here's the thing no one wanted to say out loud. It went exactly as far as his actions took it. I didn't escalate this. I documented it. And somewhere between blocking the 15th number and deleting the 20th message, I realized something chilling. If I hadn't acted quickly, if I'd confronted him instead of calling the card company, he would have kept going, kept spending, kept pushing, kept testing how much of myself he could take before I said no. And that realization hurt more than the betrayal, because it meant the version of Ethan I loved only existed as long as I was useful. By the start of the 3rd week, the noise shifted. Not quieter, just different. The outright insults slowed, replaced by something more calculated. Emails instead of text. Carefully worded voicemails. People trying to sound reasonable. Ethan's lawyer called again, left a message that sounded rehearsed. Ms. Brooks, my client is hoping to resolve this matter without further escalation. He maintains there was a misunderstanding regarding consent. If you'd be willing to discuss. I deleted it halfway through. Then I forwarded the voicemail to Detective Morrison. He called me back within the hour. This is typical, he said. They're trying to build a narrative. You're not obligated to participate. So I just ignore it? Yes. Let the DA handle it. And Natalie, this is important. Don't meet him privately. Not even to talk it out. It can be framed as witness tampering. Witness. That word still felt unreal. As if I were standing outside my own life, watching someone else's legal drama unfold. A few days later, I found out something I hadn't expected to feel anything about. Ethan had been fired. I didn't hear it from him. I heard it from Mark, a mutual friend, one of the few people who hadn't taken sides aggressively. Hey, he said gently when he called. I thought you should know. His brokerage let him go. I closed my eyes. Apparently, once the charges surfaced, the firm conducted an internal review. Ethics violations, liability concerns, reputation risk. Real estate doesn't tolerate uncertainty well, especially not criminal records. How is he? I asked, immediately hating myself for asking. Mark hesitated. Not good. He's been posting a lot, saying his life's falling apart. That one mistake cost him everything. One mistake. That phrase followed me for days, because it minimized everything that came before it. The planning, the entitlement, the choice to take what wasn't his and justify it with my paycheck. I felt bad for about 5 minutes. Then I remembered the text. Don't worry, you earn enough. And the guilt evaporated. The call from the district attorney's office came in early October. A woman named Laura Perez introduced herself and got straight to the point. We've reviewed the evidence, she said. The text messages are very clear. We're offering Mr. Miller a plea deal. I held my breath. Misdemeanor fraud, she continued. Full restitution of $5,247 to you. An additional $2,000 in court fees and fines. 3 years probation. 200 hours of community service. No jail time, but a criminal record. And if he doesn't take it, I asked? Then we go to trial on the felony charges. Trial. January. Months of uncertainty. Most defendants take the plea, she added. Trials are expensive and risky, but I wanted you to know what's on the table. Thank you, I said. I appreciate being informed. You'll also have the option to submit a victim impact statement, she said. Written. You don't have to appear in court if you don't want to. When the call ended, I sat there staring at my laptop, email inbox open, unread messages piling up. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired. A week later, the DA emailed me again. Ethan had accepted the plea deal. Just like that. The fight drained out of the situation. Not with a dramatic courtroom scene, not with tears or apologies. Just paperwork, signatures, consequences. Sentencing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. I wrote my victim impact statement that night. 1 page. No insults, no emotional language, no revenge. Just facts. I wrote about trust, about violation, about the time and stress his actions had cost me, about how his messages demonstrated a fundamental lack of respect for consent and boundaries. When I finished, I read it once, then sent it. And for the first time in weeks, I slept through the night. Sentencing came and went without me. Ethan was officially convicted. Probation, restitution, community service. He was ordered to pay me $300 a month for 18 months through the court system. The first payment arrived 2 weeks later. On time. Exactly the amount ordered. I stared at the confirmation email longer than I expected to. Not because I needed the money, but because it symbolized something final. A line drawn. A door closed. The harassment stopped shortly after that. People moved on to other dramas, other scandals, other villains. I was blocked by about 15 people on social media, which felt less like a punishment and more like relief. Silence settled back into my life. Not the comfortable silence from before. A new kind. Cleaner. A few weeks later, I met someone new. At a coffee shop. Completely unplanned. We talked about books, work, nothing heavy. On our third date, I told him the truth. All of it. He listened, didn't interrupt. Then he said something unexpected. Good, he said. That means you have boundaries. I smiled. We're taking it slow. And for the first time in a long time, slow feels right. Sometimes, late at night, I still wonder if I overreacted, if I could have handled it differently. Then I remember the text, the planning, the assumption that my effort belonged to him, and the doubt disappears. Because boundaries aren't cruelty, they're clarity. And clarity saved me. 2 months after sentencing, my life looks ordinary again, which is something I no longer take for granted. On the surface, nothing dramatic happens anymore. No late-night calls from detectives. No strangers flooding my phone with accusations. No knots in my stomach every time an unknown number appears on my screen. Just quiet. Ethan's restitution payments come through the court system like clockwork. $300. Exactly. On time. I don't think about him when I see the notifications. Not really. The money doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like a receipt. Proof that something happened, that it mattered, that I didn't imagine it. Through mutual friends, I hear fragments. He moved back in with his parents. He's working at a restaurant now. He's struggling to find another job in real estate with a conviction on his record. No one asks me how I feel about it anymore. And that's the most peaceful part. I don't feel satisfaction. I don't feel revenge. I feel distance. Which is better. What surprised me most wasn't losing Ethan. It was realizing how much of myself I'd quietly compromised before that text ever arrived. How often I'd explained things away. How quickly I'd assumed his intentions were good just because his tone was casual. How easily love had been used as a substitute for permission. Looking back, the betrayal wasn't the 5,347s. It was the assumption behind it. That my labor, my discipline, my planning, my life was communal property simply because he wanted it to be. That love meant access. It doesn't. Love means asking. Respect means waiting for the answer. Anything else is theft dressed up in affection. The man I'm seeing now knows my credit score story, knows my boundaries, knows I don't lend money casually, and I don't excuse entitlement quietly. He doesn't joke about it. He doesn't test it. And that's how I know the difference. Sometimes, very rarely, I still hear that voice in my head. The one that says, maybe you overreacted. It usually shows up late at night when everything is quiet enough for doubt to echo. And every time I answer it the same way. He took a picture of my credit card while I was in the shower. He spent over $5,000 without asking. He told me I earned enough, so it didn't matter. He only apologized when police were involved. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a line crossed, deliberately. And I didn't ruin his life. I refused to protect him from the consequences of his choices. There's a difference. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not sad either. I'm just clear. And clarity, real clarity, changes everything.